Chapter 28. Mumbai's last 2 monsoon seasons didn't bring enough rain, so at this time of year, a few months before the next monsoon, the water levels in the lakes that supply the city have fallen below acceptable levels. Now the water supply to the rich residents of the city is reduced too. Even Anita Mom had her maid Lata hoard water in the tubs in case they run out later in the day. I heard her talking to some of the neighbors in the building about buying a water tank if the situation gets worse. The municipality has asked all residents to conserve water, but how can we conserve the little water we have? We don't waste a drop anyway. Shanti told us that our parts of the city, the parts that people call the slums, get only 5% of the city's water supply, but we have almost 40% of Mumbai's population. How does that add up? I asked her. Shanti laughed. Math won't supply this answer. Now it's past 7:30 a.m., and the lines are barely moving, and the water pressure being so low. These days, without Ma and Sanjay, I only have half the containers to fill. So in theory, the water should take less time, but math isn't going to supply these answers either. I'm running so late, which means I'll miss a day of school, but maybe that's just as well, as there's a science test I know I'd fail. Faiza will be arriving at school now. Yesterday she came when I got home from work with her notes for the test. Here you go, she said, putting some papers in my hand. You may not be in school, but I am. And Minnie, look at my notes. I didn't even erase. I nodded, overwhelmed by her kindness. But when I started to read her notes last night, I couldn't figure them out. I'd missed a bunch of classes that covered this material, and without having Miss Shaw to explain it, the notes made no sense. The sound of loud noises brings me back to the present. Apparently there's a water tap down the lane that seems to mysteriously have water. We all grab our buckets and pots and pans and sprint to the next line. About a dozen women are already in front of me. One of them turns to me. What are you doing at home, Minnie? But before I can answer, another auntie says, Rohini sent her to the village. She's not well. Minnie, have you had to stop going to school? It's funny how they ask me questions, but don't wait for me to reply. Nothing wrong with that. I stopped in 7th grade too. At 16 you can be married with that beautiful skin of yours. Men don't want to marry girls who are too educated anyway. That is the truth. I want to flee, but I need water. Rohini says you never stop talking. Where's that tongue of yours today? One asks. My brother's friend, Latika, arrives and overhears the conversation. She places her hand on my shoulder in support, since she and I both know that the aunties are not thinking of how their words might affect me, and that anything I say will be misunderstood anyway. But our Minnie is a smart one. She does well in school. I hope she doesn't think she's smarter than us. Don't you be getting too good for us with all your education, Minnie. Look at Latika. She sells magazines by the traffic lights, helps her family, makes a living. That's a respectful daughter. They're like vultures, and I'm the carcass. Latika looks at my crumpled face and whispers, They don't realize what they're saying. Try to ignore them. I do try, and finally it's my turn. Mercifully, I am able to fill my buckets fast. I wait for her, and when she's done, she smiles at me, and we walk away together. The women laugh as if it's a big joke. They're just bored and a little jealous, Latika says. I'm sorry about your mom and that you had to miss school today. Do you want to come work with me? My partner can't make it. I look at her eager face. There's no reason I can't go with her. So I say yes. Chapter 29. Latika hands me a stack of magazines. We are positioned at the bottom of the overpass, where the cars must come to a halt after leaving the highway. I'm supposed to rush over and sell magazines before the traffic light turns green, which is only a few minutes. I approach the cars, and not one person buys a magazine. They keep their windows rolled up and wave me away like I'm a bug. Latika takes me aside. She says, The magazines with Bollywood stars looking like goddesses on the covers sell the fastest. Put those on top. I rearrange, as Latika suggests, and she's right. I sell one magazine to a man who tells me to keep the change. The change is almost 5 rupees. Latika says that is mine to keep, and I don't need to give any to the newsstand owner. But then for the next hour, I don't sell any more, and I leap forward too soon, and a car swerves within inches of my feet. The driver honks. My trembling hands drop all my magazines. I watch Latika. The smile on her face is bright, even while she is hot and sweaty. She skips to the cars even when she must be scared by how close they are. She tilts her head sweetly when she talks, and even if a minute later her shoulders sag in fatigue, she's full of fake, happy energy. I don't know how she can be so cheerful when it's 90 degrees and the humidity threatens to drown us. How does she do this day after day? Between stoplights, Latika and I sit on the curb. She points to a girl across the street with a baby on her hip who sells strings of jasmines and little flower posies to offer at temples. People buy more flowers from her, says Latika. They feel bad she has a baby. The girl looks like she's only a little older than Latika and Sanjay, 16 or 17. By lunch, I've sold a few more magazines, and together we've gone through our first batch. We cross the street to the magazine stall to get more. The man gives us a new stack, also a packet of food made by his wife. How nice of him, Latika, I say. He's a generous man. He brings food lots of days, Latika says, and it's delicious. I take my first bite of upma, and I have to agree. As we eat, Latika says, I'm surprised you came with me today, Minnie, since I know you have other dreams. I decide to be honest and tell her how difficult everything has become since my mother left. I was also afraid to go to school today because there was a test, I tell her. Science is hard to understand when you're not in class, and I've missed a lot, so I didn't want to go and fail the quiz. School felt too difficult for me, too, so that's why I quit, says Latika. Everyone thinks I'm stupid because I can't read. But you're smart, I tell Latika. You know how to deal with all kinds of people, and you're good at math. I know, it's just that when I try to read, the letters dance on the page. They say I need special classes, but there was nowhere nearby for me to get them. I had no choice, but you do, Latika says. Promise me you'll go to school tomorrow. I'll even fill a bucket of water for you. Latika's words give me a pang. I feel guilty that I thought dropping out of school was easier than staying in. Selling magazines for the day with Latika has opened up my eyes to how hard so many people I know work. There are aunties who make naans and pickles and sweets over hot stoves, the ones who sew clothes all day, bent over sewing machines in cramped quarters, the men and boys who work in tanning factories with dangerous chemicals, or work all day and into the night at food stalls, like my baba. Often they get so little in return, all because they don't have an education. I owe it to my family and friends to not give up. I promise that tomorrow I will be in school. Chapter 30. We are almost home when Aisha, a friend of Latika's, joins us. I hope you sold lots of magazines, she says. Minnie, I didn't know you worked with Latika. Just for today, I mumbled. Aisha grabs Latika's hand. Did you hear about Ravi? I stop and walking and stare at her. I've been trying hard not to think about the night of the water theft. Aisha saying Ravi's name aloud brings up the darkness and the terror. But Ravi is a common name. There could be more than one Ravi living in our neighborhood. Or maybe I'm jumping to conclusions. Cautiously I ask, which Ravi? The one who works with the government. He lived over the lane near the market, she says. My stomach lurches. I know him. He's a good guy. What happened? I managed to ask. It's terrible. He was found in a gutter near the creek, Aisha says. My mother knows Ravi's mother well, and of course his parents are heartbroken. They were so proud that he had a government job. That's horrible, says Latika. I know his mother too. My mother and I will visit her. That's so sad, I add, and I think about how lucky Sanjay and Amit were that Ravi protected them. They have a lot to thank him for, and now they'll never have the chance. I feel like crying for so many reasons as we cross the busy street towards home. My mother said I shouldn't gossip about this, but I can tell you, there are rumors we don't believe, that he died because he drank some homemade alcohol that was toxic, Aisha says. Well, thanks for filling me in, Latika says. My mind is whirling now. Does this mean that Sanjay can return home? Ravi was the one who helped him and Amit, but he was also the one who recognized them. Now that Ravi is gone, are the boys no longer in danger of being recognized? That would be the best outcome of this sad news. Chapter 31. It's never a good sign to find Baba home in the middle of the day, so I'm worried when I find him there. It means he either closed the tea stall or asked someone else to mind the stall, 2 things he hates to do. Something serious has to be up. And then I see Amit's uncle there, too. He hasn't been by since the day Amit and Sanjay had to leave. Maybe he's heard about Ravi, too, and they're planning Sanjay and Amit's return. Part of me feels selfish for not being more upset by Ravi's death. But I can feel a bubble of hope rise within me. Baba, I say, you heard about Ravi? Yes, Ram uncle answers grimly. That's why I'm here. They say he drank bad liquor and died, I say. Who told you that? Baba and uncle exchange a look. Baba's tone makes me doubt Aisha's information. Who? He asks again. A friend of Latika. Baba paces around the small room like a caged animal who wants to burst free. Ram uncle says, Did you know that Ravi never drank alcohol? He was a teetotaler. Baba sits back down. He'd taken a vow at a temple. I take in their words. But then how did he die? He was young and healthy. And why are people saying he was drunk if he didn't drink? Baba stops pacing. Because he's not here to say that he wasn't. Everyone says Ravi's a good guy, says Ram uncle. But maybe he was tempted to join the wrong crowd. Maybe he was threatened. I shiver. The people we saw him with that night were certainly the wrong kind of people. Amit's uncle must read my thoughts. He wasn't with good people the night the boys saw him. Maybe Ravi made a mistake. He got involved with the wrong people, and then he tried to get out. Yes, Ram uncle says. And then when he tried to leave, he paid the biggest price. So this is how dangerous the water mafia is. Who are these monsters who stop at nothing to protect themselves and their crimes? I thought maybe that Sanjay and Amit could come home, I mumble. Now Ram uncle laughs. No, he says. I came to tell you, your father, we were right in making the boys leave, that they would definitely not return for a while. Who knows if Ravi said anything to anybody? I'm taken back to Baba's lesson, to not see, hear, or speak evil. We didn't choose to see evil, though. We stumbled upon it. But we were too curious, and it bit us. Why can't the police find these people and punish them? Because they're so powerful that the authorities look the other way, Ram uncle says. They rule people with money, bribes, and paybacks. They are just about impossible to fight.